What the hell is happening in Syria? And what is the Assad regime? What was thought to be a new beginning for Syria? Assad was a dentist at the time and took power after his father died as president in the year 2000. Assad was a terrible dictator. With his harsh rule, Assad transformed Syria using totalitarian and authoritarian to control the people, just like his father. When the people protested for change in 2011, Assad, being the typical evil leader that he is, responded in the most sensible way by setting a series of brutal attacks and killing a lot of people, forcing the country into a 13-year civil war. It got so bad he was accused of using chemical weapons against civilians, but he denied that he did. During the war, ISIS joined in, causing the US to step in to help the rebel fighters. With the intensification of the war, America, Jordan, Turkey, and the European Union called for Assad to step down, but he said no, with Russia and Iran helping him. But this terror and oppression forced the advancement of the rebel people to strike again, and in just 10 days they took city by city, finally reaching the capital and forcing the evil Assad to flee to Russia for protection. What does Elon Musk want with Mars? Elon Musk has a special plan to transform the red planet. His master plan is to colonize Mars by sending 1 million people on Mars in the next 20 years. It is reported that they are already designing domes and better space suits to create a Martian civilization, with plans of turning humanity into a multi-planetary species in case it becomes inhabitable. How does the International Space Station work, and why don't they fall? Well, first of all, the ISS orbits at a speed of 7,500 miles per hour and completes an orbit every 90 minutes. They see 16 sunsets and sunrises each day. But why won't it just fall? Well, the ISS is always falling. Take this analogy from Dr. Isaac Newton. If a cannonball is fired horizontally from a high enough mountain where the air is thin so that there's little friction with enough velocity, then the curve of the cannonball falling down would match the curve of the earth, and so it will keep falling. It would not be losing altitude because the earth keeps curving. And yeah, that's basically. Who is the longest serving prisoner to ever live in jail? One candidate is Francis Clifford Smith, who was convicted for murder at 20 years old and spent almost 80 years in prison and is now paroled at 99 years old. Another sentence is O.F. Joe Much, who was a soldier but was drunk at the time and served 1 minute in jail, making him one of the shortest serving prisoners. And finally, a woman from Thailand was sentenced for 141,000 years for fraud related to a pyramid scheme, but because the maximum sentence for fraud was 20 years, her sentence was reduced. But for a short time, she had the longest prison sentence. What planet has the longest day ever? Do you know one day on Mercury is 176 days? Which is crazy, but it's completely nothing compared to Venus, which holds the true record, completing its rotation on its axis every 253 Earth days, which is crazy. But the bizarre thing is, because they are so close to the sun, both planets have days longer than their years. And if you wanna know, the shortest solar day is on Jupiter, which only takes 10 hours to be counted as a day. Do you know that the octopus is one of the smartest animals? Their brain has the ability to bend like jello, allowing them to slip between the smallest spaces. But it's not alone, as octopuses have 9 different brains, with 2/3 of its intelligence spreading across its arms. They have the ability to make their own tools. Their limbs can also search for food for them. The limbs can not only camouflage, but also, if dislocated, can regenerate or continue to find food even without its mouth. Along with their brains, they have 3 hearts, bleeding blue blood. Also, it has a beak. Do you know what happened to Hitler's body? On April 30th of 1945, Hitler committed suicide in his bunker alongside with his wife. It was argued that their bodies was rolled up in a rug and taken to a garden behind the German Chancellor's office, where petrol was poured on them, lit and burnt to ash, as of Hitler's instructions. The full truth will never be known. Many concluded that the only Hitler remains is his dental remains, which would be used later on to prove his suicide. What is the largest mountain to ever exist? The last one is out of this world. The most popular mountain is Mount Everest, which has an elevation above ground about 8,849 meters tall. To comparison, that's about 10 times the world's tallest building. But the mountain in Hawaii, known as Mauna Kea, which makes up most of the islands, is technically the largest mountain, sitting at 10,000 meters, which half of it is under sea level. Finally, the tallest mountain, which is not even on Earth, which is Olympus Mons, which reaches out of Mars' atmosphere and is about 2.5 times the height of Mount Everest, standing at 72,000 feet high, meaning you can walk to space. So now you know. Do you know that the Galveston hurricane is the deadliest natural disaster in US history? This Category 4 hurricane hit Galveston, Texas, with winds reaching 145 miles per hour, with a storm surge of 14 feet, claiming the lives of 8,000 people and over 10,000 homeless. In comparison, the population of Galveston is 38,000. That's almost a quarter, and destroying 7,000 homes, leaving a marker in US history.
Do you know what is the largest storm? The last one will shock you. It's actually Jupiter's Great Red Spot and have a diameter of 15,400 miles, and is also 1/6 of Jupiter itself, large enough to engulf Earth. It's followed by the second greatest storm, which is Neptune's Great Dark Spot, and it's also large enough to swallow Earth. Another is Saturn's Hexagon, which is about 14,500 kilometers and has a 2,000 kilometers width. So do you know that the crippled bandit slaughtered 17 million people with one iron fist that ruled the Middle East? Timur Utumelin worked his way from the top from being an exile to a powerful dictator, ordering the massacres of civilians, destroyed cities, and enslaved populations. This earned him a reputation as a ruthless dictator and destructive figure, leaving his mark in history. Urged by the wrath of his rough past as a bandit, patronized the arts and sciences, even suffering an arrow wound to the hand, leaving him with 3 fingers, couldn't stop him. Do you know that the US rewarded a pigeon for saving 1,000 lives? Out of the 100,000 pigeons used in the war, over 20,000 were presumed killed in action. In World War I, a messenger pigeon named Joe flew about 20 miles carrying an order to cancel a bombing schedule in Italy, possibly saving hundreds upon hundreds of people from perishing. Probably one of the most famous pigeons to ever fly. Another pigeon was Mocha, who too served in World War I. When the Americans struggled to advance in France, they deployed Mocha, who carried a vital message that helped the Americans locate and take out the enemies. Sadly, he was hit in action and suffered wounds there.
Dong is a complex and controversial figure, ruled China from 1949 to 1976. His legacy is a mix of significant achievements and devastating failures. While lead the Communist Party to victory in the Chinese Civil War, ending decades of war and turmoil, he established the People's Republic of China and aimed to transform the country into a socialist utopia. However, many of his policies, like the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, resulted in a widespread famine, persecution, and loss of life. Estimates of the death toll attributed to his rule vary greatly, ranging from tens of millions up to 45 million people. These deaths occurred to a combination of factors, including starvation, execution, and harsh living conditions. He was also a prolific poet and a writer, using his words to inspire and mobilize the masses, and stabilize and united China with his harsh method. And that's why